The Airbus A380, the majestic double-decker behemoth of the skies, could have had a revolutionary upgrade called the A380neo. But it never happened, and with wide bodies becoming more popular again, the question arises: why would Airbus ditch a plane that could carry over 800 passengers? So let's find out. But before we can delve into why, we have to understand the story behind the Airbus A380 and its shortcomings. Many would say that the airline has indeed been a commercial fiasco, based on the expectations that have been nurtured over the years. This airline turned for the worse during the COVID-19 pandemic, as demand for the Airbus A380 dwindled drastically, making the cost of operating the Airbus less profitable. Developed in the 1990s and unveiled in 2005, the A380 was designed to challenge Boeing's monopoly in the large aircraft market and become the new flagship aircraft of major carriers worldwide. After 4 years of development, the first A380 took its maiden flight in 2005. Its certification and testing took another 2 years, and the first A380 was delivered to Singapore Airlines in 2007. The ambitious and complex $25 billion program was beset with multiple delays, but has become a success story for Airbus. Without a doubt, the Airbus quickly became the pride and star of the Airbus industry. With its wide-body, 4-engine jet airliner configuration, it marked a historic milestone as the first full-length double-deck plane in aviation history, which was commercially introduced in 2007. It has a wingspan of 79.8 meters, or 261 feet, and is larger in height, width, wing area, weight, and power than the Boeing 747-8. It is safe to say it is the world's largest aircraft, yet paradoxically, the very attributes that rendered the A380 a marvel also sowed the seeds of its undoing. Firstly, as the world's largest airline, it can carry about 525 passengers in a typical configuration and up to 853 in a single-class configuration, which is the selling point of the airplane. The main deck is devoted to premium seating in first and business class, with more spacious economy class seating in the rear. The upper deck contains economy and premium cabins in varying configurations based on airline needs. Unfortunately, having more seats to fill would mean that there would need to be more passengers to fill for it to be profitable. Airlines struggle to consistently fill the A380's massive cabin, especially on non-peak routes, as less passenger flexibility would mean a loss to the company. Not surprisingly, consistently filling 550 seats is far more difficult than consistently filling a 350-seat wide body. This became both a blessing and a curse. Speaking of profitability, maintenance and operational costs for the A380 remain high due to its sheer size and complexity. Coming in at 277 tons, the A380 is a massive aircraft that requires 4 powerful engines to get off the ground. With the weight of the aircraft and the passengers on board, these engines burn through a lot of expensive jet fuel for each flight. And then there's the lack of a second-hand market. Airlines hesitant to invest in new A380s due to their high operating costs are even less likely to consider used ones. The economic disadvantages simply carry over. Flag carriers also prefer to have new planes. Used aircraft, especially those exceeding 10 years old, become less attractive as replacements become available. The A380's struggles in the second-hand market create a vicious cycle. Without a strong resale value, airlines are less motivated to invest in aircraft, further dampening demand for both new and used models. Despite its impressive passenger capacity, this situation casts a shadow over the A380's long-term prospects. Airlines like Singapore Airlines, Air France, Thai Airways, and Malaysia Airlines have all retired A380s with limited success in finding new owners. Hi Fly, a wet lease carrier, attempted to operate a used A380 but ultimately found it unprofitable. Lastly, only so many routes in the world can support a super jumbo aircraft like the A380. Similarly, not many airports are configured to take the aircraft, as modifications are required to things like taxiways, gates, and runways. So the problem is, what to do with the older A380s. In an interview with CNN in 2022, the airline's president, Sir Tim Clark, stated that the largest aircraft currently offered by the two manufacturers are the Boeing 777-9 and the Airbus A350-1000, both of which are small when compared to the A380 in terms of capacity. Considering the rapid recovery of the aviation industry and the decent growth of the sector since the pandemic, the current offerings could result in the supply of aircraft being unable to cope with increasing passenger demand, particularly if the 777X sees any more delays. With several major airports already facing capacity and slot constraints, Clark might just have a point about the need for larger, high-capacity aircraft in the future. The A380 would also never have a passenger-to-freighter conversion program like its Airbus siblings, the A320, A321, and A330. Both UPS and FedEx placed orders for the original Airbus A380, anticipating that Airbus would develop a freighter variant. In a 2005 media statement, FedEx highlighted the potential of the A380F, stating that it could transport over 330,000 pounds or 150 metric tons within its spacious cargo hold of 40,000 cubic feet or 1,100 cubic meters. Moreover, the A380F was projected to offer significantly lower direct operating costs compared to existing large cargo aircraft. With a range of approximately 6,000 nautical miles or 11,100 kilometers, the A380F was expected to achieve ton-to-mile costs around 15 to 20% lower than FedEx's largest aircraft at the time, the MD-11. Unfortunately, the A380F project faced industrial delays, leading to the cancellation of orders by both FedEx and UPS. Airbus did say that a passenger-to-freighter conversion of the A380 would be technically feasible, but it didn't go much further due to a lack of interest. As Airbus stated, the production of the A380 ended in December 2021, with the last aircraft being delivered to the type's largest customer, Emirates. However, even before that, the aircraft type in question had an uncertain future with several operators. Air France was the first operator to completely retire the A380s from its fleet in favor of newer and greener twin-jet aircraft. Additionally, in 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic locked down the whole world, airlines worldwide, apart from China Southern, grounded their entire fleet of A380s and other quad jets. So, if we were to address the numerous issues airlines have with the A380, what would an A380neo look like? Well, it's good to know that Airbus had already floated the idea of an A380neo in 2010. Back then, airlines, particularly those operating the A380, expressed a desire for a more fuel-efficient version of the aircraft. As they expressed their needs and preferences, manufacturers assessed the technical and economic feasibility of meeting those needs. Thus, the idea of the A380neo was born. There are many things they believe could improve the A380 and make the A380neo a project worth investing in. As the name suggests, an A380neo would be a re-engineer of the Dash 800. Consider it to be about the same as the difference between the A330 and the A330neo, or more broadly, any re-engineering. Clark stated that an engine modification for the Neo might result in a 25% boost in fuel economy, as it is substantially higher than Airbus's quoted target for the A380 Plus alternative in the 2010s. Such a fuel efficiency improvement would only be possible thanks to the upcoming advanced engine designs that manufacturers are working on. The Rolls-Royce Ultrafan is the engine that Tim Clark has specifically quoted as what could be an impressive addition to the already existing building blocks that the A380 series laid out. Although the Ultrafan was brought up, the topic of an A380neo has long been discussed. Tim Clark stated at the Paris Air Forum that they are actively considering ways to improve the A380's appeal and have no doubt a vision of how Airbus would hypothetically proceed. However, the main problem is that Tim Clark and Emirates remain one of the few airlines that could actually make the A380 work to begin with. And at the sheer scale they did, flying at a peak over 100 units, it was pretty incredible. However, This is a unique experience that hasn't been duplicated globally. Generally speaking, an airline requires a main hub and operates the hub and spoke model from there. In the past few decades, there's also been a significant shift in trends in the aviation industry. This is why no US carrier ordered the series, because they focus on a multi-hub model. Therefore, as other companies also move ahead with the A350, 777X, and 787 as replacements for their own A380, the only genuine company interested in the premise of an A380neo remains Emirates. But Airbus won't budge. They have no intention at the moment of building such a plane. The decision to halt development seems to hinge on a key factor: airline preference for profitability over sheer capacity. A weight-saving strategy would be to adopt a mostly composite structure like the A350 or Boeing 787. By changing its construction material from solid metal to composites, the aircraft could be made much lighter by up to 30 to 40% and save a fortune in fuel. Another intriguing feature could be the incorporation of folding wings, mirroring the design of the Boeing 777X. Having large wings that fold up when taxiing would allow the aircraft to access many more destinations not generally configured for an A380. This would, unfortunately, make the aircraft more expensive to buy. But if placed on the correct route, it could unlock significant revenue potential. If the A380 could somehow be made suitable to also be a freighter, the jet could also appeal to cargo operators. As we envision the possibility of the A380 continuing to grace the skies for another 3 decades, particularly in light of the impending retirement of the venerable 747, it's evident that our collective affection for quad-engine giants persists. However, amidst this sentiment, the aerospace industry is undergoing a dynamic transformation, steering away from models akin to the A380. Airbus, in particular, seems inclined towards other endeavors, relegating the A380 to a less prominent role in its future plans. Yet, should Airbus be receptive to Emirates' proposal for a new high-capacity aircraft, or are we destined to witness the pinnacle of Airbus's offerings capped at the bottom? The concept of an A380neo holds allure, but not significantly enough gains that could potentially revitalize interest in the A380. Furthermore, the A380 production line was already slated for closure in 2016 and officially ended in 2022 after its final delivery to the Emirates, deterring Airbus from embarking on the costly endeavor of retooling it for the A380neo. Moreover, Airbus had already made substantial investments in the A350, a smaller, more fuel-efficient aircraft that had garnered success in the market. Faced with these factors, prioritizing the A380neo over the A350 may have seemed like a gamble they were not willing to play. The A380neo promised significant operational cost reductions through the use of advanced engines. This would have theoretically made the A380, already known for its passenger volume, a more attractive option for airlines. While the fate of the A380neo remains uncertain, we now understand the complex considerations airlines and manufacturers face when balancing passenger capacity, operational costs, and market demand. The future of large-scale air travel promises to be an ongoing saga of innovation and adaptation. Will the A380neo rise from the ashes? Will Airbus change its mind? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure: the future of large-scale air travel is going to be a wild ride. Stay tuned for what comes next, and let us know your thoughts in the comment about its future. Until next time, take care.